Writers of the world, do you want a huge dopamine rush and a manuscript to work with in short order? I've got the answer, and I've got some tips to help you survive the answer. Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel, where today we are going to talk about marathon writing. This is the marathon writing workshop. We're going to prepare for marathon writing for like an entire weekend or just 24 hours. We're going to talk about it here. We're going to, first of all, talk about some types of marathon writing and workshops that are available out there. Workshops, contests, marathons. Okay. Number two, we're going to talk about preparing for any creative marathon. And number three, we're going to talk about the tips and preparation for like a short marathon versus a longer marathon, including National Novel Writing Month, which is coming up in November. Before we start, let's do some quick housekeeping. As always, I want to recommend that you subscribe to this channel. You guys, I invite you to subscribe. I invite you to invite your friends to subscribe. This is a book channel. We do booktube tags, we do book reviews, we talk about all kinds of bookish stuff. Today, we're going to talk about how to write a book in a marathon setting. You guys, I am not a huge channel. I am my own sponsor here. So I also want to invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. The Sandy Says Read newsletter only comes out once a month on the first of the month. This thing goes out in an email blast. I do not spam people. It's just once a month. It has typical author news and events that are coming up. I also have news about my parrots, which you are probably going to hear a little bit here during this video. And there is the all-important column from a dragon in that newsletter. I also want to mention that I have a merch shop where you can purchase fabulous merchandise like this, inspirational stuff. You didn't come this far to only come this far. I think that's what it says, right? Yeah. I only designed the thing. Why would I know what it says? You guys, I've got water bottles, mouse pads, pillowcases, stuff like that at the merch shop. I will put a link to it in the drop-down box below, and that's enough of the commercial. Before we start, what even qualifies me to talk to you guys about marathon writing? Well, back in the day, I started doing the 3-day novel contest, which is sponsored by Anvil Press. And for the first year of that, I cranked out, it was a little over 41,000 words in those 72 hours to write Problems on Eldora Prime. This is a young adult sci-fi fantasy novel, Dragons in Space. The second year that I did it, I cranked out Problems Above Pangaea Moon, which is book 2 of the same series. Now, the first year that I did this, I didn't realize I was going to start writing a space opera, a young adult space opera. I didn't realize that it was going to be a series. I just was writing a book. I was just writing a manuscript, just getting the words on the page, right? But then one year I decided I was going to veer away from the Dragons in Space thing, and I wrote a book called She's Not Broken. And it's got a huge glare on it. I apologize for that. I wrote this one. I put a pseudonym on it, Kelsey Day. And this one won an award. It did not win the 3A novel contest, but it did win an Imagine Award. This is the Imagine's 2019 Best Literary Fiction Novel. Yes, it got edited heavily. You guys, 72 hours of writing does not result in something that is polished. Trust me. What I'm saying is, after writing for 72 hours, I had something to work with that I then turned into an award-winning literary fiction novel. Is that all I want to talk about? The writing marathons are something I enjoy. There's something I participate in frequently. There's something that brings me joy. There's something that brings me a finished piece that I can then edit and work with and use in the future. Okay. This is what I am bringing to you today. I'm bringing to you the same, hopefully the same joy. The first section in today's workshop on marathon writing is just going over some types of marathon writing events or contests that are available out there in the world. You guys, you can probably find more. I'm just going to give you a handful that I know of to get you started in your marathon writing journey. Okay, we'll talk first about the Marathonarium Anthology Writing Workshop that is available through the Imaginarium Convention in Louisville. Once a year, we have the convention up in Louisville. The Marathonarium Anthology Workshop is something that I asked the organizers of Imaginarium if we could do. It is a workshop and event and anthology wrapped up in one. The premise and the goal of the Marathonarium is twofold. Number one, I wanted to create something, some tangible item that the Imaginarium convention directors could use as a marketing tool for their 10th anniversary and their 15th anniversary and their 20th anniversary, those big anniversary dates. An anthology they could use to market the fact that they are a creatives convention. And number two, I wanted a way for some of the creatives and writers at Imaginarium to get published. If they had not already been published, or if they were looking for just another way to get their stories out there, the Marathonarium is a way that that could happen. I should have grabbed a copy of the Marathonarium to show you guys, but you can see it online, and I'll put a link to its purchase link in the information box below. Basically, it's an anthology of short stories that were written over a short marathon writing span of time. I led a workshop during the 9th anniversary of Imaginarium. During that workshop, a classroom full of writers basically learned some of the ins and outs of what you guys are going to hear during this workshop today. At the end of that little discussion, we had a writing sprint. For 3 hours, we wrote short stories. And each one of those folks turned their stories into me at the end of that 3-hour period. Yeah, pressure, right? They turn their stories in. I help them edit. I help them come up with some ways to maybe massage or improve or just, fine tune and tweak some of their stories. We put those into an anthology. That anthology was printed in time for the 10th anniversary of Imaginarium. The Marathonarium anthology now exists, and those folks have been published. It did what it served its purpose. It did what it was supposed to do. A second anthology is being produced again, and then we will do another one. I mean, this is going to just keep happening. It is a rolling anthology. So there is a marathon, a writing marathon, a short story writing marathon that you can participate in if you sign up for Imaginarium and sign up for that workshop each time that it is offered. Okay, that's one. Now, National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. That is a much longer marathon, okay? This little short story marathon that takes place in 3 hours, totally different from a month-long marathon. Everyone out there has probably heard about NaNoWriMo. This is a international, at this point, an international event that takes place over the month of November. You sign up. It's free. You let the website know, hey, I'm going to do this. You declare your project. Here's the story I'm going to work on during November. And you declare a new project that you're going to work on for November. During the month of November, you write each day. You try to write each and every day. You get yourself into a writing rhythm where you write at least 1,667 words every day so that you can hit a goal of 50,000 words by the end of the month of November. That's the goal. That's what you're trying to do. If you do that, you win. You win November. Hopefully, by the end of that 50,000 words, you've completed your manuscript. Hopefully, you've completed a story. That's the goal. That's what you're hoping to do. The real benefit of NaNoWriMo is to get yourself into that habit, that writing habit of writing every day, if you possibly can. Now, the way you prepare for a 3-hour marathon versus that month-long marathon are very different, and we'll go over that in a moment. All right, another novel contest is the International 3-Day Novel Contest, and that thing is why I'm even doing this video for you guys. That is going to take place next weekend. In my real time, where I'm recording this video, that is taking place next weekend, over Labor Day weekend. Every Labor Day weekend. The International 3-Day Novel Contest takes place. It is currently hosted by Anvil Press, whom I believe originated it. I think Anvil Press originated the contest, then Geist Publishing or Geist Press handled it for a few years. Anvil has it again. They're both up in Canada, and Anvil is the one who, they have a website built. They've got all the structure in place. You register to participate through their submittable form. There is a fee to participate in this one. I think it's $50 if you sign up after the early bird fee. I always sign up early bird because I'm like always, I'm paying attention. I do this thing religiously every year because I believe in making myself get my butt in the chair, do the 72 hours of writing, and just get something knocked out. This is my opportunity every year to knock out a novel for one of those stories that's just banging around up there in my brain. It's usually not related to my main fantasy series. You know, my choices series I have over here. I've got all kinds of side projects and side stories and side novels going on with that. Whatever I do during the 3-day novel contest has nothing to do with that main series. It's something totally different. Like I said just a minute ago, that She's Not Broken. This is a contemporary type novel. This is a Me Too contemporary novel. It has nothing to do with fantasy or dragons in space. Okay. All right. Oh, let's see. What else do I want to tell you about? Anvil Press has reclaimed this from Geist. It takes place over Labor Day weekend. It is 72 hours. On Friday night, midnight, so like 12:01 Saturday, you start typing on a new, fresh document, a new story, a new idea. You go for 50,000 words if you want to win it. I mean, if you plan to be in the running to win the thing, you really want to hit 50,000 words. And then you type like mad. You don't sleep much. You take a lot of caffeine. And by Monday night at midnight, you finish. And then you send it off. Oh, yeah, you turn it in. Part of that fee that you paid is the commitment of the judges to read what you wrote. That somebody's going to read it and somebody's going to say, yes, this goes into the pile of probabilities, gets long listed, or no, sorry, this wasn't what we wanted. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is the Write Fighters 3-Day Novella Contest. Now, this one is sponsored by Faybreak Books, also up in Canada. And this one started a few years back. I want to say 2019 is when this one started. I wrote it down. Yes, 2019. This one started when it looked like Geist might be discontinuing the 3-day novel contest. There was some slowness about things that were happening. Whatever was going on. The folks who wanted to start up Faybreak Books said, hey, let's take the folks who submitted their stuff for the 3-day novel contest and give them an opportunity to win something. Let's bring them over and say, hey, submit your stuff to us. We'll pick out a winner. You're a legacy winner for 2019. And there was a winner for that. And then in 2019, whatever year they started it, they said, hey, let's do a contest, another 3-day novel. We'll do it. And they did it over Memorial Day weekend. And, for 3 days, 72 hours, just like the 3-day novel contest, we're going to do this, but we're going to call it novella. So you don't have to write 50,000 words or more. We're looking for, 25? They're looking for 25,000 words or more, but they're wanting, hey, if you can hit 25,000 words, write a novella, get a complete story that's scintillating and exciting, we're going to publish the top 3. So it doesn't have to be the number 1 in, internationally, but the top 3 internationally. And that turned out to be interesting. And of course I signed up because yay, exciting. Another 3-day novel weekend. That's wonderful. So I signed up. One year I tied for second place with this Return to the Tribe and Fire. Is it even getting, it won't focus, will it? Well, sorry about that, guys. Return to the Tribe and Fire. This apocalyptic zombie horror was an easy favorite with several judges in the 2020 Write Fighters 3-day novella writing contest, where it tied for second place. Yeah, 13,000 words. That's the most I could get that weekend. Here we go. Quick, thrilling read. Okay, so that was that year. Then in 2022, my story, Eden and the Most Precious Stone, took second place. There wasn't a tie that year. It took second place. And now that one hasn't been published yet. There's some slowness. There's some kind of delay, and I'm not positive that the contest is continuing. Check it out though. I will put a link to the site in the information box below. They've moved it. It doesn't take place over Memorial Day anymore. It takes place over President's Day, which is a bit odd since President's Day is here in America and they're based in Canada. But you know what? It's international. Okay, so there you go. What is another writing marathon that we should look into? And that is the 24-hour poetry marathon. This typically takes place in June. The folks who put this together are just delightful, so open, so friendly, so just enamored with poetry and the written word. I love the sense of community that is built around the 24-hour poetry marathon. So pleased when I discovered it. So pleased. They built into the 24-hour marathon 2 12-hour marathons as well. So if you cannot commit to 24 hours of writing poetry, you can do one of the half marathons. Either one. But it all takes place over the same 24-hour period, if that makes sense. Okay. Usually it happens in June and it's on a weekend. So, if you work during the week like I do, you don't have to take off work. And at the end of it, they no longer put together an anthology, an official anthology for the poetry marathons. It became just so overwhelming, so much to try to do that. But they did, they used to put together an anthology where each person who participated in the marathon could pick one. Well, I think we picked 2 of our poems and then submitted those 2. And then the editor of the anthology that year selected which one of those 2 would be used in the anthology. And so in 2020, I think this was the year I submitted my honeybees poem. And then one year I submitted a poem about cricket, my con year. And one year I submitted a poem that was about lapwings. That was inspired by Emily Bronte. Anyway, the 24-hour poetry marathon is something I highly recommend. You're not writing poetry for 24 hours straight unless you want to. But what they do is at the beginning of each hour, the organizers, they post on an official website, they post a prompt. There's a word prompt and an image prompt. And the prompt can be anything from, a phrase or a song lyric or a prompt like, this hour we're going to write a quatrain. This hour we're going to write a gigon. This hour we're going to write a haiku. Okay, the prompts can be anything at all. And when the prompt comes up, you look at it and you go, and whatever it inspires you to do, you do that hour. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. And it gives you an opportunity to come up with 24 poems over 24 hours. And at the end of the 24 hours, you've got 24 pieces of crap to work with, right? And some of them I have found to be reasonable to work with. Some of them I've looked at and thought, my God, I was really tired when I wrote that. Out it goes, right? But at the end of the 24 hours, you've got stuff to work with. All right, next on my list for you guys is the Spring Fling Kidlit Contest. This is just what it sounds like, kid literature. You're writing a story, a short story for children. It's 150 words. Yeah. This takes place from April 1st to April 3rd. So it's a very short window of opportunity to do this. What you do is you post a GIF that has inspired your story and then your 150-word story. You post this on your own blog or your own website, your own site. All right, and then you give the link to them in the submission form. There's a form that you fill out and you post the link to your stuff, and then their editors go through and judge which ones they like best. I will put a link to that form in the information box below. On the list, we have the National Writing Project. This one is something that's been ongoing all year. I believe that 2024 is the 50th anniversary of the National Writing Project and the writing marathons that they support, or that they, what do I say they support, but that they monitor, that they do. The National Writing Project has writing marathons that they do in different cities throughout the year. You just sign up for them and you go. If one is in your city, you go to this thing, and there is a leader who monitors the writing marathon for that 90-minute session. It's amazing. It looks brilliant. I will put a link to that in the drop-down box below, because there are still several set to happen during 2024. There might be one in a city near you. Okay. Next, I have scribblingthroughsummer.com. Now, this one is another one of those month-long marathons that's encouraging you to get into a really good writing habit. This one took place during July this year, so it's done for this year, but you want to put it on your radar for next year. It's free. The last couple I've mentioned are free. Next is the 24-hour short story contest. Now, this one has a $5 fee, and it happens a couple times a year. The next one coming up is the fall short story contest. Let's see, did I write down? Yeah, it's sponsored by writersweekly.com. They do give prizes. There's like a monetary prize for like the top 3, and they do publish those top 3 online. You retain the rights to your story even when they publish you online. What happens is at noon on the day of the contest, they post a prompt or a theme that they want you to write about, the main theme that they want for your short story. And then you write the short story for 24 hours. At the end of that 24 hours, your story has to be in their judge's inbox. Their judge has to have received the story at noon the next day. If your story is like hung up in email, if something's gone wrong, too bad, so sad, you're not going to get judged. Okay, the judge will read your story if it's received by that deadline. And that is a hard and fast deadline. Don't miss it. Okay, I will put a link to that in the drop-down box below so that you guys can check that out. The next one is coming up September 14th. So it's coming fast. It's soon. I am sure there are tons of other marathon writing events and contests that you guys know about out there. Please share those in the comment field below. Share the links to those story contests, to those marathon writing contests. Bonus points for short story contests or contests that have like a time limit. Okay, I know that these novel writing, what am I trying to say? The month-long marathon writing events, those are wonderful, and those are good at helping us hone our skill and get into the groove of writing every day, getting into that good habit. Isn't it Chase Hughes from the Behavior Panel? He's taught us that it takes about 21 days to form a habit. So, getting into that habit of writing every day over that month is a really good thing for us writers. But I'm interested in sharing with you guys some of these marathons that are like a 24-hour marathon or a 3-day marathon. Those quick little marathons that help us just plug away at a story, get the story done, and then have it. So number 2 in today's talk is preparing for any type of marathon, any type of creative marathon. We're talking about writing and sitting in a chair, so we're not really up and running around for this marathon, but we're still worried about our health and wellness. Okay, you guys, hydration is key. I cannot stress this enough. Having enough water, having water with electrolytes, having something that is keeping our brain hydrated is key. It is so important to this whole process. Whether you're doing this for 24 hours, 72 hours, or a month, keeping your brain hydrated is so important. You want your brain to be nimble and quick and agile while you're typing up a plot with like twists and turns, okay? I want you to remember to get a good night's rest for a few nights in a row prior to your marathon, if at all possible. Try to do that. If you're going into a 72-hour marathon and you're tired going into it, there's no way you're going to be able to stay awake for the amount of hours you need to stay awake to get this thing done. You're going to be foggy. Don't Don't set yourself up to be foggy during a 72-hour marathon. Get some good sleep during that week leading up to it. Remember to stretch and do some walking and do some exercising in that week leading up to that marathon. One of the things I do before the marathon is I set out my medications and my vitamins, that kind of thing. I have, it may be something for like an older person, but remember, I'm ancient. So I set my medications in one of these little pill boxes. I do it. I've got them all set out there because you guys, during a 72-hour marathon, I am going to forget if I took my medicine at 8 o'clock. I'm going to forget that. But if it's in this little box and I take it at 8 o'clock and then at 9:30, I think, oh my God, did I remember to take my medicine? I can look and it's gone. I took it. Yeah, I took it. It's all good. And it's already there. So I don't have to go into the cabinet and take out the bottle and open the bottle and it's right here. It's right here. And it's going to be sitting on my desk where I'm working as well. So I don't have to get up and go find it. It's right there. Right. And that's part of the next item on my list here, which is the environment and communication. So let's talk about the environment for just a moment. We're going to plan for strange crap. You guys, I live in Florida, as I've mentioned here on the channel before. And here in Florida, we have weird thunderstorms that just pop up every afternoon. We have hurricanes, those things crop up too. And in front of hurricanes, there are rain bands that have tornadoes and thunderstorms. I lose power. Yes, I have lost power in the middle of the 72-hour marathon. It's happened. All of a sudden the power goes out. Poof. There's no electricity. There's no internet. Everything is down. Well, luckily, the laptop computer that I'm typing on does have battery backup, so I don't have to worry about losing my document immediately. I do have that battery backup in my favor. But I also have next to my computer a notepad and a couple of pens. So if I must, I can start scribbling down my story and writing it by hand if I must. And then when the power comes back on, I can type in what I've been writing. Or I can just pick up at the end of this dialogue, at the end of this paragraph, and just start typing from there. And then later, when I'm in a slump or having a brain fart, I can go in and type that in later, however it needs to happen, right? Okay, power outages are going to happen. So, if I'm listening to a playlist that I put together on Spotify and all of a sudden all the power goes out and everything is down, that playlist goes away. So I no longer have music to listen to. Well, I also have a boombox because I'm old. I've got a boombox there next to my workstation, and I've got some CDs that I can listen to. That boombox does have battery operation, so it's battery backup. I can listen to music while I still keep typing, while I still keep writing by hand. I've got backups for everything happening there. I like to tease and say that I prepare for the 72-hour marathon the way I prepare for a hurricane. If the power goes out, I'm covered. It's all going to be fine. All right. Plan ahead so you don't have any reason to leave your writing enclave. This little writing enclave that you're going to make for yourself, it's your little space for the 72 hours or 24 hours, whatever it is. Make a plan so that during those 24 hours, the only reason you have to get up and leave that spot is to go pee. It was a little more blunt than it needed to be, but the only reason you have to get up there is to heed the call of nature. All right. Just make it so that you don't have to leave that spot. Make it so that you've got your medications right there beside you. You've got plenty of water right there beside you. You've got your food that you're going to eat, your snacks that you're going to eat. Everything is right there. So you don't have to get up except maybe to stretch your legs. And then you can type over your chair while you're stretching your legs. Okay. All right. We're going to make it so that you don't have to leave that writing enclave. While we're talking about the writing enclave, I want to show you this picture of my writing enclave. Here you can see we have the laptop computer right there in the center. We've got the notepad with some extra pens just to the side of it. I've got a dictionary, the handheld dictionary right there, the print dictionary. So if I lose power, if I don't have internet access, I still have the dictionary there. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be looking up, how to spell words. I'm not going to be looking up, synonyms and antonyms. I'm not going to be editing while I'm writing. But if I get hung up on a word, it is going to drive me nuts. It is going to torpedo my progress if I get hung up on a word, and I'm going to have to look it up. So I know this about myself. I know this about my writing process. And I know that I'm going to need that dictionary, that thesaurus there at my side to help me to get over that little hump of being torpedoed. Okay, you can see the stack of CDs there kind of toward the background behind the dictionary. I've got some Kleenexes, some tissues there for, runny noses. In the event that I'm writing something emotional and I start sobbing like an idiot, I've got Kleenexes there to take care of that. Rounding out the picture, I've got some nuts and some apples. I've got apple slices and some more nuts in a baggie. I've got sugar-free chocolate candies there to take care of my sweet tooth. And I've got some water with electrolytes in it. That stuff is all right there within grasp. It's easy to reach, easy to grab, easy to just consume while I'm writing. Now, for a 72-hour marathon, there's going to be food in the fridge, which is the room I'm in is the kitchen. So there's going to be food in the fridge behind me. It's already on the shelf. It's packaged up. It's ready. All I have to do is unwrap and eat, and keep writing, keep going. The coffee is already made. The coffee is already doled out in iced containers. I've got it ready to go. So I don't have to stop and make a new pot of coffee each morning. It's already done. Everything is already ready to go. Also, plan for no interruptions. All right. Each time that I'm doing a writing marathon, I make up a sign that I post on my front door and on my front window. And one goes on the front window because I have one neighbor who doesn't use my door. She knocks on my window. It's a thing. It's a thing. Anyway, I put a sign on the front door. I want to recommend to you, if you live with other humans, have a sign on your door. If you're doing your writing in your den or in your bedroom, have a sign that says, "This is mommy's private time. This is Adele's private time." Okay, just let people know you're having your own private time on this weekend. Let you have this weekend of private time for yourself to do this writing. You cannot be disturbed. You cannot be disturbed. The sign on my front door says, "No one will answer this door until Tuesday." That's what it says. You can beat on the door. No one's going to answer it. No one's coming to this door. Unless my house is on fire, don't try to get in. That's how it is. All right. I also alert family and friends so that they know if they text me during that weekend, I'm not going to be responding. If they send me an email, I'm not going to be responding. No one should expect to hear from me during that weekend, during that 24-hour poetry marathon. No one should expect to hear from me. This way, if they don't hear from me until Tuesday, they cannot be offended. Okay, it's kind of giving yourself permission to be a hermit for 3 days. It's giving yourself permission to ignore incoming messages, because you must ignore the incoming messages. You must stay focused. All right. What other preparation do you want to do? You want to do some writing preparation. Okay, you notice we had that dictionary on my table, on my desk there. The dictionary there. You might want to bookmark some favorite dictionary and thesaurus type of sites. There might be some resources and research sites that you need to bookmark for the type of story that you're going to be writing that weekend. Go ahead and do that ahead of time. You might be able to prepare an outline. There are some of these contests and some of these marathons that encourage you to prepare an outline. Go ahead and do that. Usually I will prepare an outline. Doesn't mean I'm going to stick to it, but I'll prepare that outline and I will tape it to the wall next to that table. So I've got it there. If I veer off of the outline and then find myself kind of tangled in the weeds, I can go back to that outline because it's right there next to me. I don't have to get up and go find it. It's right there next to me. Let's see. I also want to suggest that you prepare your story Bible. If you have not already made a story Bible, go ahead and put one of those together real quick and fast. We mentioned the story Bible. Oh gosh, there was a video here recently where we mentioned the story Bible. If I think of it, I'll put a link to that in the drop-down box below. And we're going to prepare a more full and robust video about the Story Bible and its importance here soon on the channel. But have your Story Bible close at hand. That way, if there is some little nugget about a character that just starts to drive you crazy and you need to remember it, you can look it up in your Story Bible real quick and fast and then just keep going. I mean, if you get hung up on something and it's starting to torpedo your progress, you can look it up in your Story Bible and then keep going. I have my map of Unveiled. I've got my map that I can have there if I'm working on something that is related to my world of Unveiled. I've got the map. I try not to, though. On these marathon weekends, I try not to have something related to my Choices series or my World of Unveiled. Usually on these marathon weekends, I'm doing something that is not related to the Choices series. Several reasons for that, but if you have something that is in a world that you've created, have that world easy to access. Have your map close at hand so you can look at things and you know where you're going. Be prepared. That's part of your writing preparation. I also want to suggest that you create a playlist. Go to Spotify or Pandora or whatever music service you like to use and have your playlist. Just in case something's going to go wrong, though, have those CDs as backup. For the third part of our workshop today, we're going to look at preparing for a shorter marathon versus a little bit longer marathon, okay? For those short ones, I'm talking about maybe a 24-hour marathon. Let's call that one short, okay? First thing you want to do is determine your personal goal. For example, on the 24-hour poetry marathon, I'm going to set a goal for myself to have 24 poems at the end of that. They're not going to be great. They're not going to be Tennyson. They're not going to be T.S. Eliot. They're not going to be fabulous, okay? They're not going to be publishable at the end of that 24 hours. And I know this. What they're going to be is a rough draft, 24 rough drafts that I then can pull into one folder and work with, something that I can manipulate and edit and play with, okay? That's the goal I would make for myself in a 24-hour poetry marathon. Your results may vary. Okay, prepping for this short marathon, think about your food and caffeine intake over that 24 hours. Personally, I cannot drink caffeine for 24 hours. I don't need to. Depending on when that marathon begins, I might need coffee at the beginning of it. All right. I don't drink soda anymore. I haven't had soda in years. So I'm not going to have soda on hand, but maybe an iced coffee midway through. That might be necessary to keep my brain percolating, to keep everything flowing. Your results may vary. You may want caffeine a lot if you're going to stay awake for 24 hours. Think about your food intake. What kind of meal prep do you need to do ahead of a 24-hour marathon? Okay, have that food ready to go, ready to consume. Communication. Let's talk about communication again. You need to communicate with the people outside of your writing enclave so that they know not to bug you, especially in something as short as 24 hours. My goodness, if people can't leave you alone for 24 hours, there is something wrong with those people. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, if people can't give you space for 24 hours, what is wrong with those people? How dependent upon? I'm just saying. Okay, your writing materials. If we're doing a short story marathon, what kind of writing materials do you want to have at your disposal? If you're doing a poetry marathon, what kind of writing materials do you want to have at your disposal? For a poetry marathon, I like to have a lot of pieces of paper, blank paper, different types of pens. I like different colored pens, different colors of ink, because when I'm writing poetry, it is a very tactile experience for me. I like to write poetry by hand, and then I type it into the website or program that is being used for the poetry marathon that year. That's how I like to do that. Your results may vary. Okay, it may be different for you, but that's how I like to do it. Your reference materials. Get your reference materials together for the short marathon. Have them at hand. Think about your morning routine. Think about that for a second. If you're doing just a short, quick 24-hour marathon, when does that marathon begin and when does it end? What is your morning routine like? Is your morning routine going to be finished before the marathon begins? Because if your morning routine is something that you can do at a leisurely pace and be prepared mentally and physically and spiritually before the marathon begins, great, more power to you. But if your morning routine is going to happen in the middle of this 24 hours, depending on your time zone, depending on when it begins, if your morning routine is going to happen in the middle of that, well, let's think about how you can step up your morning routine, how you can make it go faster. Can you lay out your clothes, lay out your morning vitamins, lay out your morning medication, lay out the food dish for the dog that you're going to need to set down in the floor for the dog. Maybe you can prep that before the marathon begins, maybe put it in a Ziploc bag, whatever you have to do, so that when the morning begins and the dog is like, I am ready for my breakfast and I'm going to harass you until I get my breakfast. Well, okay, here it is in the Ziploc baggie, dump it into the bowl and get back to writing. There will be no washing of dishes. There will be no tidying up of surfaces. There will be no cleaning of anything while you're doing that short marathon. Don't even pretend that you're going to do the dishes while you're doing a short marathon. No, let them pile up in the sink. It's okay. It's okay. You can get them at the end of that 24 hours. It's okay. It's okay. Your outline, remember to do your outline for the short marathon. If you're doing a short story, if you're doing something like a little novella in that 24 hours, get your outline together. Because, I mean, even if you feel that doing it by the seat of your pants is quicker and faster, which sometimes it is, that outline, oh, you guys, it's going to help you come back if you get tangled up in the weeds. If one of your characters goes off on a tangent and you got to reel them back in, that outline is just going to help you bring your thoughts back. I so recommend an outline before one of these marathons. All right, and if you have an idea of what you'll be writing, go ahead and make yourself a playlist, because that can help. That can help bring you into the mood. That can help bring you into your story's world in a heartbeat. If you can make a playlist for it. Sometimes, if one of those characters goes off on a tangent, if some character does something that you didn't expect, if the twist gets a little too twisty, sometimes that playlist can help bring you back into the right headspace to finish out the story. Sometimes. All right, now, if we're preparing for a little bit longer marathon, that 72 hours, or even a month, but if we're preparing for that 72-hour marathon, that's the one I want to focus on next. We're still going to determine our personal goal before we go into it. Figure out what it is that you personally want to get out of that 72 hours. At the end of it, what do you want to have done? Do you want to have a 50,000-word manuscript? Do you want to have a complete story, whether that's 30,000 words? 20,000 words. Do you want to have a complete story at the end of that 72 hours? Think for yourself, okay, what is my goal with this weekend? Is it a new project that I want to have completed at the end of this 72 hours? Or is it something, you guys, last year before, there was one of these 3-day novella contests where I went into it and I took a story that I had already started. It was not a new project. So I already disqualified myself from the contest. And I didn't care. I had paid my entry fee, but what I wanted out of that weekend was to finish that story. I had to get it done. And I knew this. And that's what I went into the weekend knowing. Okay, my goal for this weekend is not to write something that I can submit to this contest. I give that up. What I want to do with this weekend is finish this manuscript that's been bugging me. I want to finish this story for these characters who deserve to have their story finished. And that's what I did. And I met that goal. And I was very pleased with that. So you've got to decide for yourself, what's going to be my goal for this marathon? Set the goal. Set the goal. When you're doing the 72-hour one, set some word count goals for yourself. Like, okay, at this hour, I'm going to have this many words written. At this hour, I'm going to have this plot point reached. Set some goals like that for yourself, because you guys, I am telling you, during a 72-hour marathon, you're going to get tired. we are humans, right? At some point during the day, we get to a point in the evening where we're tired and we're ready to go to bed. This is the natural rhythm of the human body. There's going to be a point where your body says, we should go to sleep now. And you can give yourself more caffeine, but your body is going to then say, okay, I've used up that caffeine. Let's go to sleep now. If you set a goal for yourself of, okay, I want this plot point to be finished before I rest, you can push for that goal. No pain, no gain, right? You can push for that goal. Just set yourself some goals. Set goals. During the 3-day novel contests, marathons, I give myself writing sprints. Like I will type like the wind for 50 minutes, 50 minutes, like almost an hour. I will just type like mad. I will type dialogue. I will type description. I will just type like mad for 50 minutes. And I can type a lot of words in 50 minutes. It is exceptional. I can type and I can get a whole lot of stuff done in 50 minutes because I focus, I drill down on it. Do something like maybe your writing sprint is 20 minutes, which is a far more reasonable thing to do. But for 20 minutes, type like the wind, make yourself hit that goal, and then give yourself permission to get up, stretch your legs, go heed the call of nature, come back to the desk and type some more. Give yourself some of those goals, and trust me, you'll make it through. And then set alarms. One of the points on here, set alarms. I personally set alarms to take the medication. The medication I take, I take a thyroid pill every morning because you guys might know, when I went through the cancer stuff, they destroyed my thyroid. So I take a thyroid pill every morning. I take a migraine preventive every night at a specific time. If I miss my migraine medication, guess what happens to Sandy? And I cannot have a migraine in the middle of a marathon weekend. Holy crap. So I take my medication. I have an alarm. And when the alarm goes off, the little message that comes up says, take migraine pill. Easy. I take the migraine pill because it's sitting right there on the desk next to me in my little thing. I take my medication and I keep typing. I keep going. Okay. Set alarms. Set some alarms at the times when you think you might have fallen asleep at the desk. If you think, you know your body, you know that at 1 a.m. you're going to be asleep. Set an alarm for 1:30. Set a little alarm that just ding, ding, ding will go off. And that little alarm says, you got this. Keep going. Give yourself little pep talks in your alarm settings. Something that says, hey, stay awake. Keep at it. Keep going. You can do it. Here's the thing. No one believes you're going to stay awake for 72 hours. Unless you are manic, you're not going to stay awake for 72 hours. It is not healthy. It is not healthful. It is not a good idea. It is not wise to pump yourself so full of caffeine that you stay awake for 72 hours typing. Please don't do that to yourself. Please don't do that to yourself. What I do is I will type until I am exhausted. And when I realize, oh my gosh, I am so tired, I'm slurring my words on the page, I will go take a nap. I will set an alarm. I will let myself sleep for 2 to 4 hours. And then I will get up and I will wash my face and I will type some more. You guys, it's like a rhythm, okay? 2 to 4 hours of sleep and type again. Set an alarm. Set alarms. I'm telling you, you can tell yourself, oh, I'll just sleep for 2 hours and I'll be able to get up. You will oversleep. And then you will find yourself crunched on that third day trying to finish your story. Okay, set alarms. Also, set out a change of clothes. You would be surprised at how much vigor will come back to you, how invigorating it is to just change your clothes. And I mean, all the way down to the underwear. You guys set out a change of clothes. So you just refresh yourself. I mean, washing your face. Yeah, that's great. You are not going to have time to take a whole shower. I realize that some people can take a shower in 5 minutes. Great, but that's 5 minutes that you're not typing or sleeping or eating. Okay. I mean, for 72 hours, I become a stinky mess. The end of that 72 hours, then I can take a shower. But you guys know, not during a novel writing weekend. There's no showering. And this is another good way to get people to stay away from you during that 72 hours, right? Yeah. Okay. But set out a change of clothes. Set out, comfortable clothes that you can just change into after one of those naps, and you are going to feel refreshed. It's going to feel reinvigorating. It's going to feel as if you took that shower and you're ready to go into a new day of writing. Get back to that desk, get back to the writing, get back to your writing sprints and your alarms and all that good stuff. Just charge back into it. Now, here's the reason that I am so excited about encouraging you to get to the end of that 72-hour marathon or the end of that 24-hour marathon, whichever of these that you're going for. You guys, at the end, when you get to the end of 24 new poems or the end of a short story or the end of a novella, when you get to the end of that 50,000 words, you guys, you're going to type the words "the end," and this feeling of euphoria is going to wash over you. Oh my word. I cannot tell you how extreme the dopamine hit is. The very first time I ever did it, the first time when I did, here, let me get up here for you. Problems on Eldora Prime. The first year that I completed the 3-day novel contest, I think I had an hour left to go. I think it was like 11 o'clock on that Monday night. I emailed the manuscript off to the judges, and I had this stupid grin on my face that did not go away. I went to lay down in bed because I was exhausted, but I was so high on that dopamine hit. I had that adrenaline rush rushing through me to the point I couldn't go to sleep. I was exhausted. I was spent. It took everything out of me, but I was so happy at what I had achieved that I couldn't sleep. I just lay there thinking, oh my God, I just wrote a novel and it's cool. And I sent it to judges. And I did this. I did this thing. I did it. You guys, after you do this, you are going to feel euphoric. It's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to hear about it after you guys do it. And you come back to this video and you type in the comments below, oh my God, Sandy, I did it. And I'm so happy. I can't wait to hear from you guys when you do this. Now let's talk a little bit about preparing for like NaNoWriMo and other like month-long contests or month-long marathons. They're not, NaNoWriMo is not really a contest. The contest is against yourself, right? You're competing against, can you do this? Can you get those 50,000 words in a whole month? Yes, you can. You guys, if I can get 41,000 words in a weekend, we can do 50,000 in a month. Yes, you can. And here's how: discipline, habits, forming habits, getting into the groove. You can do this. Again, you're going to determine your personal goal, just like with getting ready for the short marathon and your middle length marathon. Determine your personal goal. Do you want to use the National Novel Writing Month to write a 50,000 word novel or more? Do you want to put together a brand new project, or do you want to put in 50,000 words on a project you've been working on already? Figure out your personal goal, set that goal, declare that goal on the website, and go for it. Make it happen. Set up an area where people know this is your writing space. So for the month of November, you will have a place you go to write. Now, in my kitchen, I can do whatever I want in my kitchen because I don't have anyone else living in this house with me other than pet birds, right? My pet birds don't care that I take up that space in the kitchen for writing. I could leave that set up throughout the month of November, no problem. Now, I also have area in my bedroom where I do some typing. I can type anywhere I want to in this house, not a problem. But if you have other humans who live in your house with you, you might want to set up a special space that is for your writing. And during the month of November, your family knows this is where I do my writing. This is going to be my private space for writing. This is set aside. This is my writing enclave that I've set aside. Just make that known. Just put up a sign if you have to. Just make it known. This is mom's personal writing space. This is dad's personal writing space. This is brother's personal writing space. Make it sacred. Keep it safe. Okay. Food prep is going to be very different for a novel writing month than it is for like a 72-hour writing marathon. For 72-hour writing marathon, you've got food in the fridge on specific shelves, wrapped and ready to go. So all you do is take it out, unwrap, consume, and keep typing. I like to be able to hold it in one hand while I'm typing with the other hand, consume, and then keep typing, right? I mean, that's the way I like to do it. It has to be quick. It must be quick. For the month-long endeavor, you might be doing meal prep each weekend. You might take a little chunk of time to do your meal prep each weekend so that throughout the week, it's just easy to just grab what you need, reheat it, and then you can do some typing while you're eating your dinner, while you're eating breakfast, wherever you set up your typing time, right? Okay, it's just a little different. I would suggest that before you go into November, you set up your meal plan so that you know, okay, here's what I'm going to do for prepping on weekend 1, weekend 2, weekend 3. Now, if you're in the United States, we have Thanksgiving in November. Some folks may have to host Thanksgiving at their house. This is a big deal. Just plan ahead. Plan ahead, make sure you know, okay, I'm going to need to have this, this, and this. I'm going to need to prep this, this, and this. If you need to, maybe you have to take a day off of the writing because of Thanksgiving. Maybe you have to do meal prep or house cleaning prep, whatever you have to do. Just plan ahead, juggle things around, get people who can help you with whatever you need help with. You got to work around that schedule. By working around that schedule, you are showing yourself and teaching yourself coping mechanisms to make this writing plan work. It's all part of the writing plan. You're helping yourself get coping skills for the next month, because in December, you could continue National Novel Writing Month into December. The writing habit you build in November, you can move into December. And guess what? There's another holiday in December. Take those coping skills you learned at Thanksgiving and apply them to Christmas. Apply them to New Year's Day. Apply them to birthdays that happen next year. And on and on and on. All right. Advanced planning still counts. Okay. When we're doing National Novel Writing Month and we're writing for a whole month, the advanced planning still counts. Getting a good night's sleep still counts. Being hydrated still counts. Having electrolytes still counts. The point of the month-long marathon is to build that habit. Like Chase Hughes taught us, it's to build that habit and then to take that stuff that we've learned during November, apply it to December, apply it to January, apply it to February, and just keep going, keep going, keep going. Now, for National Novel Writing Month, there are people who can help you, and they will help you build those skills. They will help you build that habit that you're learning. There are liaisons, NaNoWriMo liaisons in your area. They're local people who they work with the NaNoWriMo structure, but they're local to your area, and they will put together pep rallies. They'll put together writing sprints in person and online. They'll put together different events where you can go in person or you can go onto like Zoom meetings and team meetings and do writing events. There'll be after parties. There'll be ways to encourage people in your area. It's a community. It's a way to build community, figure out who the other writers in your area are. There are groups that have built off of NaNoWriMo pep rallies, that have built writing groups so that in December and January and February, you can meet up with other writers in your area and do like critiques. You can critique writing. You can just read to one another. You can read what each other is writing and give feedback and help one another. You can build a community off of this. And that's not a bad thing. Now, I mentioned writing sprints a couple of times during this discussion. Those writing sprints is just where you can set a timer so that you don't lose track of it. Set a timer, and for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever time you want, you type. It's like a stream of consciousness typing. Just start typing whatever is in your brain onto the page. Hopefully it has to do with your manuscript. Hopefully it has to do with your work in progress. But you're going to just type and type like the wind and see how many words you can get on the page during that sprint. It's a sprint. Okay. And you're just trying to get a lot of words on the page. You can edit it later because that's the name of the game. So many writers tell us you can't edit a blank page. And that is the absolute freaking truth. Got to get the words on the page. Got to take what's up in here. Got to take those characters that have been yelling at us to tell their story and just spew it onto the page. Let the character in your brain spew through your fingers onto the page. For 20 minutes, just let them spew. Your characters have spewed through your fingers. And after you have put together a 24-hour story or a 72-hour novel, you're going to have something that you're probably proud of. Okay. I mean, when I was finished with Problems on Eldora Prime, that very first 3-day novel weekend, I was pretty proud of that. That was amazing. Now, I had to turn it in. That was part of the rules. It had to be submitted to the editors at Anvil Press. You had to do it. Went to the judges, right? And they read through it and I got some nice feedback. It didn't win anything. That's fine. But I got some nice feedback, and basically it was, hey, keep going. We like the story. We like the action. Keep going. Hooray. That's great. You guys, at the end of National Novel Writing Month, you might have a story that is 50,000 or even 60,000 or more words that you're very proud of. You've spent a month working on this thing and it feels really good to you. You might have a really good story. You might have a character who is great, who's been spewing words through your fingers for 30 some odd days, right? Sit back. Do not send that thing to a literary agent. Do not send that thing to an indie publishing house with a beautiful query letter. Resist the urge to send that manuscript anywhere. Let it rest. Give it time. Wait. All right. Even if you have finished the story is done. You wrote the end at the end of it. That's great. Close the file. Come back to it in January. Come back to it 4 months from now and edit it. Come back to it when it is no longer fresh in your brain, after you've had plenty of sleep, after you've worked on something else. Come back to it, edit, play with it, add some stuff in, look at it and go, oh my gosh, there's a plot hole right here that I can drive a truck through. Fix that. Look at it and see, oh my gosh, this character over here, his name changed. Fix that. Go through the manuscript and fix things that you didn't notice when you were sleep deprived. Go through it and fix things that you didn't notice when you had company banging on the door to come in for Thanksgiving. All right. Please resist the urge to send that manuscript anywhere on December 1st. Please, please, because it is not in your best interest to do that. No matter how good you think it is not in your best interest to do that. It's just not. If you catch the eye of a literary agent, you want to catch their eye with your best, most polished, amazing work. I can guarantee you that what you finish at the end of November is not your best, most polished. It's probably your best, most polished a couple months later after you go back to it and review it and play with it some more, add some stuff, kill some darlings, take out some things that just didn't read right, fix some syntax. Then it's going to be more polished. Then maybe a beta reader looks at it and maybe someone else looks at it. Just please, please resist the urge to send that thing to any agent. Oh, please resist the urge to send it to indie publishing houses. Please resist the urge to self-publish it. Oh my God, please, please be careful. So we have now discussed how to get that huge dopamine hit and a finished manuscript in short order. Okay, marathon writing is where it's at. You guys, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I love it. I get so much out of it. I hope that some of that enthusiasm has come through in this video. I hope that some of these tips are resonating with you. I hope that some of this is going to be good stuff for you to use as you go forth and look for marathon contests and marathon events that you could be a part of. I highly recommend the 3-day novel contest on Labor Day weekend. I know that that is like right around the corner as I film this video. I'm going to upload this as soon as possible, you guys, because if you've already signed up for that, I hope that this is useful and I want you guys to get something useful out of it. If you haven't signed up for that yet, I hope that you can get in under the wire. I think they take registrations right up to the moment of start. I mean, I think they do. I think it's right up to the last screaming minute. They'll let people sign up. And I so recommend it. I so recommend it. And then the short story contest is coming up later in September. I've not done that before, but I'm doing it this year because I want to press myself. I want to step outside of my comfort zone and force myself to do that. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. You guys, I so recommend getting that huge writing dopamine hit at the end of it. It is a great thing. You guys, thumbs up for self-inflicted dopamine hits. Welcome you to share some of the marathons that you guys know about in the comment field below. Please get a discussion going. After you have participated in one of these, if you've already participated in one of these, please share your experience in the comment field below. Share with the community. Let folks know what your experience has been, some of your successes, and some of the huge, fabulous things that have happened for you. Thank you so much for tuning in.